Here's my audience.
So I want you to think about today's economy in the U.S. Do you think it's in a good state or a bad state? Today I'll be talking about the Great Depression, a major event in U.S. history that has greatly affected our country. So the Great Depression was the largest economic collapse in the United States. According to Christina Romer in an article titled The Great Depression, published January 16, 2026 on the Britannica website, it was the longest and most severe depression experienced by the industrialized Western world. My name is Lucas Riggs, and I think it's important to share with you the information I've gathered on sources from online as well as my own knowledge over the Great Depression. I'm going to discuss what it was caused by, how people's lives were affected during it, and how the country has been impacted in today's world. So the Great Depression was caused by multiple problems. A major problem was caused by the stock market crash of 1929, according to an article simply titled "The Stock Market Crash in 1929" by Gary Richardson from the Federal Reserve History, published on November 22nd, 2013. So the stock market crash was caused by the Dow Jones industrial average increase, they increased a large amount, which misled investors to buy more stocks. So this was misleading because the average would drop drastically in the recent future. So this drastic drop would cause these investors to panic sell their stocks, which would destroy the market. The dates this occurred on would be later known as Black Tuesday and Black Monday. Another cause of the stock market crash was the instability of the stock market. So, according to the Oklahoma Historical Society, in an article titled "What Caused the Great Depression" that I found on February 3rd, 2026, everyone had been buying stocks on credit. So the banks would buy stocks with loan money, which would sometimes be a problem because some of those loans have not been paid, which was a major cause of the instability in the stock market. This instability caused people who had banks or had money in their banks to pull all their funds out, which was a major problem. They did this because there's no deposit insurance, and if the banks failed, they would lose most or all of their money. So now that we kind of know how the Great Depression was caused, let's talk about what lives looked during it. So, an article from the History website published May 28, 2025, titled "Life for the Average Family During the Great Depression" by Lindsay Conkle. During the bleakest point of the Great Depression, about a quarter of the workforce was unemployed. As you can see here, signs were made publicizing the lack of jobs and loss of jobs. So this loss of jobs created hunger problems and as well as poverty problems. As you can see, people were protesting, trying to make their situation of hunger and starvation public. This loss of jobs also created a problem with housing. So people lost their homes and were forced to move to Hoovervilles, which were named after President Hoover, who was president at the time. These Hoovervilles were neighborhoods made up of poorly built houses that were not obviously built poorly and were sometimes not suitable to live in. Another major problem during this time was the occurrence of the Dust Bowl, which made it even harder for people to live during this time. It buried homes in dust. The accumulation of dust also made it hard to breathe, as well as find food and clean food and water. So not only did it impact the lives during the time, it also has an effect on our country in today's world. So according to an EBSCO article published in 2022 titled Banking Act of 1935 by Michael Namorato. This act was a significant reform of the U.S. banking system that enhanced the stability of the Federal Reserve. This act created the FDIC, which kept the money in banks insured as well as protected. It also created the FOMC, which would manage interest rates of loans and keep prices in the U.S. reasonable. Another act that was passed was the Social Security Act. According to an article from the Social Security History website titled Historical Background and Development of Social Security, this act created a social insurance program designed to pay workers that over the age of 65 after retirement. It gave these older people benefits as well as a safety net to prevent financial stability problems. And it also helps people who've lost their jobs due to non-disciplinary reasons, like say they got laid off. To close, I've discussed the Great Depression, how it was caused, how the lives looked back then, as well as how it has affected our country today. So the next time you think that our economy might not be in such a great state today, I want you to think, is it really as bad as it could be?